Marie Curie's story begins not in the grandeur of laboratories or the applause of history, but in the quiet determination of a young girl in Warsaw, Poland. Born in 1867 as Maria Sklodowska, she grew up in a family where learning was treasured, though poverty and oppression surrounded them. Poland was under Russian rule, and opportunities for women were scarce. Yet Maria's father, a mathematics and physics teacher, instilled in her a love of science, while her mother's tragic early death gave her a profound sense of resilience. Even as a child, Maria was curious, disciplined, and fiercely determined to rise above the limitations placed on her as a girl. She studied relentlessly, often reading books late into the night by candlelight, with her heart and mind hungry for knowledge. Though barred from attending the official university in Warsaw because of her gender, she secretly joined the Flying University, a clandestine institution where Polish students could learn forbidden subjects. There, she absorbed the ideas of progress, liberty, and intellectual freedom, nurturing a dream far larger than the world allowed her. When Maria was in her 20s, she made a decision that would change the course of her life forever. She would leave Poland and move to Paris to study science at the Sorbonne. This was not a glamorous leap. It was one of sacrifice, hardship, and courage. Arriving in Paris, she faced hunger and poverty, renting a tiny attic room that was bitterly cold in the winter and stifling in the summer. She sometimes fainted from lack of food but refused to abandon her studies. At the Sorbonne, she immersed herself in mathematics, physics, and chemistry, earning her degrees with distinction. It was during this time that Maria Sklodowska became Marie Curie, embracing both her Polish identity and her new French life. In those lecture halls, she stood among men who often underestimated her, yet she proved herself not only as their equal but, in many cases, their superior. Her brilliance was undeniable, but it was matched by humility and tireless effort. It was in Paris that she met Pierre Curie, a fellow scientist whose quiet nature and deep passion for research mirrored her own. Their meeting was not one of fireworks and romance but of shared ideals and mutual respect. Pierre saw in Marie not just a woman but a true partner in intellect and purpose. They married in 1895, and their union became one of the most legendary partnerships in science. Unlike many men of his era, Pierre celebrated Marie's intellect and gave her full equality in their work. Together, they began to explore one of the most mysterious phenomena of the age: radioactivity, a term Marie herself would later coin. While others dismissed the strange rays emitted by certain elements, the Curies dared to investigate further, poring over data, experimenting tirelessly, and embracing the unknown with fearless curiosity. The years that followed were filled with both triumph and unimaginable hardship. Marie and Pierre embarked on the painstaking process of isolating new elements from tons of pitchblende, a black mineral ore. Day after day, they labored in a ramshackle shed, often in freezing conditions, stirring boiling vats of chemicals with little protection from the invisible dangers that surrounded them. The work was grueling, exhausting, and physically dangerous. Yet Marie pressed on with relentless determination. In 1898, their efforts bore fruit. They discovered two new elements, polonium, named in honor of Marie's beloved homeland, Poland, and radium, a substance that glowed faintly in the dark and carried astonishingly powerful properties. These discoveries shook the foundations of science and promised new medical frontiers, giving hope to countless people who suffered from previously untreatable illnesses. Recognition soon followed, though it was not given easily. In 1903, Marie and Pierre Curie, along with Henri Becquerel, were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. Initially, the Nobel Committee intended to honor only Pierre and Becquerel, overlooking Marie's pivotal contributions. But Pierre, with integrity and love, insisted that Marie's name be included, making her the first woman in history to win a Nobel Prize. This moment was monumental, not only for Marie but for women everywhere. She had cracked open a door that had been closed for centuries, proving that brilliance knew no gender. Tragedy, however, struck just 3 years later. In 1906, Pierre was killed in a sudden accident, crushed under a horse-drawn cart in the streets of Paris. Marie was devastated. She had lost her partner in both love and science, the man who had believed in her when the world doubted. Yet even in her grief, Marie did not falter. With quiet resolve, she assumed Pierre's teaching post at the Sorbonne, becoming the institution's first female professor. She continued their research, raising her 2 young daughters while carrying the weight of her work and her sorrow. Her resilience in these years was extraordinary. Where others might have broken, Marie channeled her pain into purpose, turning her mourning into a fuel for discovery. Her continued research into radioactivity earned her yet another Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry in 1911, making her the first person, and still the only woman, to win Nobel Prizes in 2 different sciences. Yet this honor was accompanied by scandal and hostility. Her personal life came under public scrutiny when it was revealed she had a relationship with fellow scientist Paul Langevin, a married man estranged from his wife. The press, fueled by sexism and xenophobia, painted her as a foreign temptress, hurling insults and driving her into isolation. Despite this storm of hatred, Marie never let it shake her dedication to science. She stood firm, allowing her work to speak louder than gossip. During World War I, Marie Curie once again proved her courage, not in the lab, but on the battlefield. She recognized that the discovery of X-rays could save countless lives if brought directly to the wounded. Defying bureaucratic resistance, she developed mobile radiography units, known as Little Curies, and personally trained medical staff, including her daughter Irene, in their use. Driving through war zones, she risked her own life to ensure that soldiers received proper medical treatment. It is estimated that over 1 million men were treated with her radiographic units, a testament to her belief that science must serve humanity. Her contributions during the war went far beyond discovery. They embodied compassion in action. As the years advanced, Marie Curie's health began to decline. Decades of unprotected exposure to radioactive materials took a toll, though the connection between radiation and illness was not yet fully understood. She suffered from fatigue, weakness, and illness, yet she never abandoned her work. In 1934, at the age of 66, she succumbed to aplastic anemia, a disease caused by her lifelong exposure to radiation. Her death marked the end of a life devoted to science, discovery, and humanity. Yet her legacy lived on, not only through her groundbreaking discoveries but also through her daughters. Irene Joliot-Curie would go on to win a Nobel Prize in chemistry herself, carrying forward the flame of her mother's passion. Marie Curie's story is not simply one of scientific achievement. It is the story of a woman who refused to be defined by limits. She shattered barriers, endured prejudice, and transformed grief into strength. She was a pioneer, a mother, a teacher, and a visionary. Her discoveries revolutionized medicine, physics, and chemistry, and her courage redefined what women could achieve in a world that often tried to silence them. Today, her name stands not only for radium and polonium, but for resilience, perseverance, and the boundless potential of the human spirit. She remains a beacon for all who dare to dream beyond the constraints of their time, reminding us that the pursuit of knowledge, fueled by courage and compassion, can change the course of history.